All right, folks, this week's guest is Tommy Delago, the man who founded Nitro Snowboards. And he's been in the game since basically the beginning of snowboarding. So you forget how far snowboarding has come in the past few decades. Really interesting stories from the early days, as well as all things Nitro. We had Knut Eliasson in studio, who's always a pleasure co-hosting. So I think you guys are going to love this episode. But before we get into it, a couple quick announcements. Bombhole Cup signups are live on bombhole.com. Probably sold out for the bank slalom. If not, there's probably a few spots available. So if you want to sign up, go to our website. It's going to be really fun. March 28th, 29th at Brighton. We hope to see you there. And thanks to all our Patreon members. We appreciate you guys supporting the show and everybody that listens. All right, I'll stop talking. Let's get into it. Here we go. Tommy Delago.
You are listening to the
Bombhole Podcast.
Hey, MFM. See you on the lift. Back attack, dude.
Bon voyage!
Get that damn car off of the hill.
Slide down them big hills. You know what I mean? On the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
Okay, folks, welcome to the Bomb Hole. Today we got a great show in studio. We got Tommy Delago and we got Knut Eliasson. What's happening? Before we get into the show, though, Silk actually has some big news. I don't know if you guys saw his neck.
New neck tattoo.
He's got a neck tattoo. He's officially a neck tattoo guy.
Officially neck tattoo as of yesterday.
Yeah.
All in.
I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I'll put a picture on the screen. Yeah. Yeah. That's what's known as a job stopper. So, Chris, no pressure, but I'm expecting to work here for the rest of my life.
It's fantastic. I love that you're limiting your other career options and you have to stay with us. That's perfect.
Laser focused.
Yeah, I love it. You're doing great. Well, let's just jump right in. Tommy, you guys are here for Interlude. How's it going? What are you guys doing?
Riding, for the most part, riding, talking shit. I don't have to sell anything. That's great, you know. So I just have a good time, go ride with people I know. I met and re-met a bunch of OGs from back in the day, so I had a blast up there. It was really fun.
Yeah, what exactly is Interlude for people that don't know?
It's a show for retailers to see next year's line, next year's stuff that have already ordered, maybe adjust their order or actually put their order in now so they can see stuff, talk with the reps and talk with the salespeople. Also, we're in touch with them, but also ride it up at Brighton. So the riding part for me is, of course, the more exciting part. I think it's just important to get out with people, ride, talk about snowboarding, I don't really talk about the product so much, just feel everybody out and see where everybody's at and see if they're having a good winter and, you know, it's just fun. That's what we pretty much have been doing all January all over the world. Like we've been to France, Austria. This kind of events are actually happening everywhere. And for me, at least, Interlude is the last event of this season right now.
Cool. I love that. And I think about this when you're talking, Jake Burton, who obviously founded, or I guess Jake Carpenter, who founded Burton, is known for snowboarding 100 days a year, not having a desk. People come on and talk about how they do all their business on the chairlift. For you running Nitro, are you out snowboarding a lot and finding a good balance?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to. I mean, I'm still heavily involved in R&D, so I have to go riding, which kind of, so I do spend a lot of time on the snow, whether it's for testing stuff. My riding didn't progress for the last 35 years because I'm always on something that's maybe not working, not quite working. So, but yeah, I do spend a lot of time on the snow, and it's just fun every single day still.
And to piggyback off of that, we have a guest question. Our first guest question is presented by Hippies. We hammer them at the office. They're chickpea puffs. You can find them at your local grocery store. We love Hippies here at the Bomb Hole. And we got a guest question from Jeff Richards, a.k.a. Lil Jeff, who works at Nitro. What's his title? Can you?
I think he's general manager of U.S.
Is he doing a good job?
Jeff Richards is the future of Nitro.
Doing an amazing job.
He's the legend. He is a gift to snowboarding.
Yeah.
So
he's good at skateboarding too.
He's an amazing skateboarder. He's an all-in kind of guy.
Yeah.
All in on life, all in on skating, all in backtails, all in everything.
All right, let's hear what he has to say first.
Yo, what up, Bomb Hole crew? What up, Tommy? It's Hefe here. I got a quick question for you. So you've been designing hard goods, boards, boots, and bindings for 36 years now with Nitro. And I'm just curious to know, are you as stoked and having as much fun doing it now as when you started? Really hyped to hear your answer and beyond stoked just to listen to this entire episode. Thanks, guys.
That's definitely a yes. I just sent off a bunch of drawings, geometries for some new boards. I could tell you, but I have to kill you afterwards. But and I just got so stoked on drawing this board. Sometimes it's a board. We also do boot stuff, but on boards sometimes it's the job. Okay, we got to make whatever this size. We add this size. It's needed in the market, or we need that price point. That's kind of like the job part. But sometimes you just make a shape and you draw it. Like, man, I got to ride this thing right now. So yeah, definitely still enjoying it 100%.
Cool. 36 years. No, you're not. You've had to face burnout at some point, though.
I don't know.
I guess the better question would be, how do you not burn out?
It's just fun, It's just the people you're around. I think that's the biggest part of it. You stress out on things. You have issues with money here and there, or like, a distribution, or problems, quality problems, delivery. There's something happening all the time. Of course, I don't think we've ever had a year where there's no problems. But I think it's the people that are around you that make the big difference. If you have enough people around you that support the whole project and everything we do, you don't burn out, because never anything sits on any one person's shoulders, and you're never like, oh man, I'm over it. So far, it didn't happen.
And I think also with when you get younger generations coming into the company, that definitely helps bring the energy back in. Like I remember working with you years ago and coming up with offering ideas of new shapes or new technologies, or this is going to be sick, brand new. And Tommy would be like, yeah, we did that in 1998. It didn't really work, but we could try it now if you want to. That does happen.
I learned this from a guy that we worked with. We've worked with different factories over the decades. And one of the guys, he was a pretty renowned technician, former, I think, ski jumping World Cup dude, whatever. Like, he was already in his late 50s, 60s, whatever. So he knew everything about making, manufacturing. And he taught me one thing, or I learned one thing, like from his attitude, because we had the same thing. I went to him like, let's try this and that. And he was like, oh man, we tried this, 20 years ago and it didn't work. But he said, now, 20 years later, maybe it works because of maybe technology changes. Maybe the market's now ready for it. So I kind of learned not to turn down an idea from any of the younger people in our group, say, oh, we did it, doesn't work. I don't shut it down. I say, we tried it didn't work, but let's try again. There's always another way, and there's new technologies, materials, and we did a bunch of stuff that we think now in retrospect, the market just wasn't ready for at the time, maybe, and maybe now is the time. So,
splitboarding is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Like when was the first Nitro splitboard on the market?
93.
And probably wasn't a big seller back then at all.
Oh, no.
Like 4 of them?
You sold 4. He bought one himself.
I still remember when I went up with my parents. We went to this little valley close to Innsbruck. The very, very first test splitboarding in 93, hard boots and the whole enchilada. Like, my parents were like always in the mountains, so they were fast, and I was always behind this crazy. But yeah, I never really sold until probably the early 2000s. It was always this, what are you doing with this weird thing, So, but we kind of stuck with it. That's where we are,
Splitboard's a great example, 100%. Let's just go back to the beginning here, because 36 years in business, and even before that, a pro snowboarder. So how did you find snowboarding?
I was born and raised and still live in this little town in Bavaria, the mountains. But I got into skating when I was a kid. But I really always wanted to surf. Surfing for me was always the big dream. But of course, in Bavaria, you're landlocked, you're 14. Like, what do? Going surfing, I tried windsurfing, but, that didn't work because I had no car and you couldn't get to any of the lakes, So, I had a subscription to Snowboarder magazine back in the day. And they went under, actually, they reformed the magazine into Action Now. So my subscription kept going and turned into an Action Now magazine subscription. And they started showing, Action Now branched out from being just a skateboard magazine into an action sports magazine. They showed motocross, surfing, and also snowboarding. So in the late 70s, I started seeing all these photos of, Tom Sims, Jake and Chuck Barfoot and these guys in the magazine. A lot of the skaters from back in the day, like, were on snowboards all of a sudden. So for me, it was like, yeah, that's my way. I'm gonna be surfing. That's it. I always looked at snowboarding from the surfing aspect rather than the skating aspect that came in much later. So yeah, I started building my own first boards, 78, and
because you couldn't buy them. You couldn't.
Oh no, it was nothing. And it's funny because, when you read the history of Sherman Poppen, like the snurfer, he pretty much did the same thing. He took 2 skis and basically put them together with a piece of plywood to stand on. That's exactly what I did. So I had actually a snowboard with running bases, with a running base and steel edges way before they were invented, and then later on made some wooden boards, and I ended up ordering my first board from Tom Sims in, I think, 82. And it was actually a cutout ad out of Action Now magazine. So there was these ads, 2-page, like a single-page ad, and Tom and Chuck basically had an ad together. And you were deciding, like, okay, I'm cutting this apart. Am I going to order a Barfoot or a Sims board? I was like, this Sims is a little cool. I always kind of admired Tom. He was a skater back then. And so I was like, man, this is cool shit. So I still have the magazine with a half cutout, page, I sent it this slip, cash. And I got the board back, and
wait. But at that time, cash. Did you send?
You
German
I had
mark?
to send it. Actually, I had to send it with what's it called? Money transfer.
Traveler's check.
Western Union.
Western Union. That was it. Yeah, Western Union. I still actually have the receipt, all that stuff. I had to have the letter from Tom that he sent. Like, oh, I'm so stoked. Somebody's ordering a board.
Handwritten?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And but the worst thing was customs. Because Tom advertised his boards as ski boards. Mm-hmm. And so I get the letter, okay, your board or your package is ready to pick up at customs, so you got to declare it. So I went to Garmisch, which is like 20 kilometers away, and tried to explain to the officer what I'm actually importing. So I said, it's a snowboard. So we're talking 82.
Means nothing to him.
What's a snowboard? Well, it's a surfboard for the snow. So it's a surfboard. No, it's winter sport. So it's a ski. No, it was a pretty long discussion, and I think he classified it as a ski at the end of the day. So I even still have that customs invoice. It's kept all that stuff. Yeah. So I got that first board, and I rode that for a number of years before I was completely secluded away from the other development that had happened at the same time, where people started using running, bases and edges. And I think, I have to admit, I used to be a professional Frisbee player at the time.
Professional Frisbee.
Yeah.
What is that?
What does that look like?
Yeah,
like
how do you go pro?
Frisbee.
No, I know what a Frisbee is.
What is being
It's just round,
professional?
How do you become pro? Are you just...
I was in competitions. My first trip to the U.S. actually was to the World Championships in California. So we had this competition side, but we also had this show.
Halftime show situation.
Yeah, halftime show and all kinds of sports events, TV events. So we had this show troupe, with 2 or 3 of us, doing this, freestyle Frisbee.
What exactly are you doing? Are you juggling in them? Are you
it
throwing
looks
them
like
around?
juggling. I mean, you've never seen freestyle.
Yeah, what is
I've known nothing
competition
about
look
freestyle.
I thought I let it out before this guy.
It's my favorite piece of dirt on him.
I knew he was
really
going to
cool.
pull it out of the hat. So
I have a note about it.
Yeah,
but I still don't know what it
I
is.
said, okay, I better be just bring it out on the table.
Bring it out of the open, lay it out there.
Lay it out.
Yep.
And just knock at it, Yeah, it's acrobatic, we did flips and catching and the delay where you balance the disc on your fingernails, So we did all that stuff. And that's how I met actually a lot of people that, were influential to me in snowboarding because there was a lot of crossover. And my Frisbee partner, he was an ex-skater, competitive skater too. So we met Titus. Titus was, he's a,
icon in the European skate snowboard.
For skateboard distribution and snowboard distribution. So I met him. And through him, I met Jose Fernandez, who was at the time the leading European rider, the first European snowboarder to come to the U.S. for the World Championship. And
rode for Burton, right?
No, he worked for Sims.
Never went to Burton?
I don't think so. He wrote for Hooga Booga and then for Sims, or So he invited me to the Swiss Championships in '84 or something to come and do a frisbee show. That's what I'm talking about. Not to get sidetracked. And I was always riding my Sims board and similar boards with no base, no bindings, nothing. Basically like power surfing. And I thought that was it. I thought this is it. This is what you do with a snowboard. You ride it in the powder.
Yeah.
Or because I live really close to the next chairlift, 5 minutes walking. They open and you get first couple tracks, and then as soon as it gets tracked out or too hard, you stop. And I went to Switzerland, and there was all these guys with boards that had edges and and bases and a binding. So first time in my life in '84, I was riding a snowboard with bindings, and that was and then I met a bunch of other people, and then I got involved in that whole
Scene.
End of it. Yeah.
Crazy. I was watching a video in one of your first snowboards. It was a bike, the tube, that was your bindings going over the top.
Yeah.
That's before you discovered the bindings, obviously.
Yeah. If some of the first boards, I was experimenting with all kinds of stuff, and one of the boards I made was from a water ski. I just got this water ski and put a bunch of traction pads and cross-country bindings had these spiked heel things so you wouldn't slide off, Stuck all that stuff on there, and then just a bicycle tube, put that on there, and you just slide your feet underneath. And the board I got from Tom was the same concept, with a bunch of spikes and traction pads and a piece of rubber, across, which works perfect, Just think of a power surfer now. Just adding a rubber, just a little rubber strap on top would be well, it's pretty cool, a little more control.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that we want that now, but, you're always trying to,
So then you got then you met the community of snowboarding.
Yeah.
And then what did you do? Then you were like, there's more to snowboarding, so I'm going to do more in it?
I got actually, through Tito's, I bought myself a Burton board with bindings. So that was the first real snowboard with bindings, edges, and everything. So I was riding that for a while. And then I was in Austria, I think '86 or something. I was in Austria on a glacier. And you were typically riding by yourself. Every once in a while there was maybe another snowboarder, but you're typically riding by yourself. I was in in Kaunertal, Austria, and I was just riding. And there was this guy, on the other end of the, mountain. I saw this guy who was putting up slalom gates, and he was going through these gates with a snowboard. So I walked up to him and "What's up?" The only other snowboarder was racing, and there was Paul Gruber, a guy that I've known since really well, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm practicing, and there's this snowboard contest next week in Austria. You should come. Everybody goes." And so I went there, and first thing you go Friday, everybody gets up there, you build the pipe. Everybody with a shovel, you make your pipe, for the next day, And then the next day we went right over to the pipe, and I slid out, broke my hand, didn't even compete. A pretty short career. No, I ended up competing later on, but
Pretty short career, first contest.
Well, it was cool. I met all these people. Harry Gunz, the guy who started Red Air later on, he drove me to the hospital. Got my cast, and then the next couple of weeks later, there was another event. There was all these little events everywhere, really. And I ended up racing slalom with my cast, which was perfect, beating down the gates with this, fiberglass. It wasn't lightweight, And that's when I met Jake and Donna, they were there. That was 86, 5 or 6, I don't know. Yeah.
Were you starstruck when you met Jake at that point? Not starstruck, but starstruck.
I really didn't really... I haven't met him that many times, even Donna. Even all these years, that was probably the only time we really met and talked. And it was well, yeah, he was just the guy, he was just a Burton guy. Well, there's other people that had brands and had stuff. He didn't really stick out completely because there was other people. Everything was more like on the same level in a way, Everyone was kind of oh yeah, we're all riding and doing all these things. So. He didn't really stick out as the guy he became later, I think,
But then you went, so you get in the community, you're meeting all these people, and then I know you started a snowboard school.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. Why did I do that?
It's
Good question.
That's a good question. I mean, that's pretty unexpected. I have no idea, you know. It just happened somehow. I was never a super competitive person. I went to all these, to the World Cup and all that stuff later on, just to meet everybody. That was, for me, was investing, just to ride and meet everybody. Oh, let's go to the US, you know, World Cup, Breckenridge, Stratton. Like, cool, yeah, let's go. And I was never a great competitor, you know. The snowboard school, it just happened somehow because with Tito's, I was on the Sims team, so I had a pretty good connection with Tito's because he was distributor for Sims, and I had a good connection with Tom, and he came by, and we went to Austria, started some board production there, and so I was kind of involved in that whole environment.
You helped Tom start some board production.
For Europe.
Yeah.
For Europe. And then with Tito's, we just came up with this idea. There's all these, you know, back in the day that there was a lot of stores that started selling snowboards, and they had a windsurfing background in Europe.
Yeah.
There's more windsurfing stores than skate stores. You know, so all these stores are windsurfing stores, and they're all interested in that winter balance because it fit their, you know, portfolio. And so a lot of these, you know, shops started selling snowboards, but many of them didn't really know what they were doing. And so I started this school. It was not like your typical, individual people call up, can I book a lesson type of school? But it was a collab with Sims and with Tito's that they actually sent their shops. I had this flyer to send it out, and they came like busloads of people, you know. So store A would have like a busload or like vans, or anywhere between 7 and 50, you know. And they would just come for the weekend. And I always had this deal, like every 7th person was for free, which was typically an employee. So today, like there's a lot of people in, well, mostly German-speaking part of Europe that are in the industry that learn snowboarding in my school. You know, like a lot like photographers, like people like, wow, I learned, I don't remember. So it's kind of cool. And that, you know, was a pretty big operation back in the day. I had like at least 200 boards because nobody had boards.
Damn.
Yeah, it's thick.
I still have
crazy.
a lot of these boards. The biggest problem was we didn't have boots. Well, not enough. You know, nobody had, like in Europe, nobody had Sorels. So that was not really an option. We had a collab with Koflach, and Koflach, that's what we rode most of the time. We rode these Koflach.
And they're climbing?
Like these soft but plastic molded climbing, like mountaineering, ice climbing boots. They were semi-soft, semi-rigid, like, you know, pretty good combo. Not hard, hard boots came later, really. So we had a bunch of those, but never enough with sizes. And, you know, all of a sudden you get like 3-4 buses, 100, 200 people coming in Friday night, and you got to give them all gear for the weekend. So we taught a lot of people on ski boots. Basically, you know, couldn't get around that.
Ski boots with bindings over the ski boots.
No, plate bindings.
Oh, plate bindings.
Plate bindings,
okay.
yeah, with a clip in the front, or like
so hard boots,
whatever, like hard boot bindings.
Yeah.
So we had a bunch of hard boot bindings because, like, we told everybody, bring your ski boots as a backup. So we started giving them our boots, and then somebody always got the short end of the stick.
How you
riding ski boots?
You're teaching 200 people at a time to ride it for the first time. How you figure out if they're goofy or regular?
Oh, always push them from behind. You know, just
do you believe in that? Does that work?
Most of the time. Yeah. I mean, you know, I got some old footage of people like skidding down. You know, most of the boards were directional, so you had no choice. You know, it was like, you know, we had a lot of those, you know, Sims blades. You know, there's like just a little bit of tail, like kicked up, like just a little bit. So you pretty much had to go that one right.
There's all these riders that are really good at switch, and they're like, I don't know, Tommy told me I was regular. So it's like, damn, you're a switch god, though.
No, I think it worked pretty good. There was always some ambidextrous situations, and for the most part, it worked. I mean, if you're in this part of the business, you see after, you know, an hour or so if somebody's actually set up wrong, and you can fix it. You know, but it was busy. I don't know how many teachers, and it was cool. You know, we did, you know, camps. We did a camp at Mount Hood. So we had people flying over to Mount Hood and did a snowboard camp there. We planned one in Greece that never happened, unfortunately.
And this is the late 80s?
Yeah. That's always like between. I think I started in '87, all the way until when we had started Nitro. I still had the school.
What was the name of the school?
Team Fun Snowboard Camp.
Yes.
You know,
So good.
It's good. It was fun.
yeah.
Straight to the point.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. You know, it was always very, very grassroots. Like just, we always stayed in bed and breakfast. Like everything was really low key. It was pretty cheap. You know.
Do you remember how much it was?
I think the weekend was like 80 German, which was like $40 at the time, roughly. You know, for 2 days, lift ticket.
Nice.
That ain't bad.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
It's kind of the problem we're facing right now. We're getting people into snowboarding. There's $4,000.
Well, we're at this resort. Like there's that's another weird thing. Like I was snowboarding in our home resort. Well, resort, like it's small. It's got, you know, a chairlift, couple of T-bars. You know, like right next to my house, for 6, 8, maybe 10 years. And then when like the boom really kicked in, like by the late 80s, they got scared and they banned it. So they banned snowboarding from my home mountain, you know. And that's when I started my school. We're like, well, what am I going to do? And I have a friend who owns a tiny resort, like the next town over, and he was stoked, so we did it there. And that's really only 2 T-bars. That's it, you know. We built the first half pipe there, you know, we built all kinds of stuff. And it was interesting because, I mean, it was, again, that was super cheap. So I think the level of entry, the cost and everything was super low. And that's what made it work, you know. It was not the ski schools that started that at the time were much more expensive, much more complicated. They didn't have good staff. So it was a good thing. And I got involved in actually writing like the first, how do you say, like, you know, snowboarding teachers instruction book, you know, like the whole.
Nice.
Yeah. So we did that. We had there was the German Snowboard Association that we're all involved with. Actually, Peter Bauer and I, Petra Müssig, and a bunch of other friends, we started the first German Snowboard Association in my living room. And so we started, okay, we need to train or coach, you know, snowboard teachers, you know, we need to get that going. So we started like writing all this stuff. We had a guy, like a biomechanics guy who helped. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. First lesson, push him off a curb.
Yeah.
Step 1.
yeah, exactly. So it was cool, you know. And yeah, so it was a lot of groundwork we did. But it was cool because this guy gave me a whole different perspective on like why snowboarding works, like how turning works. Like having this guy, he was like at that point I thought he was old. He was like 50. Like a biomechanics professor. He was totally into snowboarding, and he helped us to understand like why turning works, why weighing, unweighing works, why this and that.
Can you help me? Can you help me?
We wrote this
that?
whole thing, you know, based on his knowledge, you know.
Can you elaborate on?
Can you elaborate?
How does
turning work?
How does turning work
from a biomechanic perspective? Yeah. How does it work? Do you remember?
Now it was the interesting part was that the turn. I mean, well, it depends on what type of turn you talk about. You know, there's the carving, and there's just like the sliding turn. The sliding turn, for the most part, is a winding and unwinding of your spine. So you wind your body, and of course, unweighing and weighing is important. So you got to unweigh to allow. But you preload. Typically, when you teach beginners, you always have this point in the new direction type of thing, the leading hand arm thing, you know. So you kind of load your body up, and when you unweigh the board, you know, the board follows. That's one of the basic principles of our way of turning, which later on with carving got changed completely. So that was interesting. So just talking to him led us to write this whole concept of teaching a snowboarder, like somebody how to learn how to snowboard, not based on what we thought was kind of lame in the skiing world. They just said, okay, do lesson A, B, C, do this and this and this, and then it's going to happen. Our whole thing was trying to make the teachers understand why it's not working or why it's working, so they could help, a student to understand what to do differently to make it work. You know, We thought we were super smart.
Well, that makes sense. I've tried to teach people how to snowboard, and I literally, I'm like, I don't know. You just turn. Like, I can't articulate what they need to change in order to do it. And so that's actually very valid.
Yeah, it was cool. And it's also one of the reasons why I actually dropped out of all that, because our association went under at some point. And that whole group of people that were working on, like, coaching, training, and, doing all the certification for snowboard instructors got taken over by the Professional Ski Instructors Association.
Wah, wah, wah.
And, not to hate on skis, that's all great, but they brought into this whole more of a methodical, do this, do this, do that, and you just run these things and you check them all. And if it still doesn't work, you got an idiot in front of you. You're never going to learn it. That's it. Just end of discussion. Yeah. Where we had a different approach. We really wanted the teachers to understand what's happening. And they went more of the methodical. Okay, lesson ABC, and it should be done by that time.
And if it's not, stop.
So I was like, I got frustrated. And I got busy with Nitro, of course. But
all right, this one here is a special one. This one's for all the riders out there trying to find your own way. We're shouting out Pacifico, the official beer of the podcast. Pacifico's been showing up in all the right places lately, okay? Whether it's the mountain or some newly discovered spot off the slope, Pacifico has been riding with those who are pushing beyond. When you've had a long day of getting out there with your friends and you're recapping the day, have a Pacifico. Us over here at the Bomb Hole will be a reason one for you, too. So with that, bringing you a message from Pacifico to continue to find your own way. 21 plus, discover responsibly. Pacifico Clara Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
All right, let me tell you what I'm excited about, people. These Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die hydration packs. We are hammering these things at the office all day long. I'm drinking these on the daily, staying hydrated, whether I'm just at work or I'm out getting after it on my snowboard. And one thing people should know is that 75% of Americans are dehydrated. You're talking about losing strength, focus, endurance. You can have some brain fog. So let's hear the science. Your body needs electrolytes. We're talking sodium, potassium, magnesium to actually pull water into your cells. That's where Bubs Hydrate or Die comes in. It's based on oral rehydration solution science, a blend of sodium and glucose that pushes hydration directly into your bloodstream fast. We're talking 2 to 3 times faster than water alone. That's not hype, that's actual data. So whether you're flying, you're climbing, you're drinking, you're working, or you're just up at altitude, you're losing more than you think when it comes to water. Hydrate or Die brings it back. We're talking 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes per pack, cane sugar only, no sketchy sweeteners, and it's NSF certified for sport. It's clean, tested, and made in the USA. And let me tell you something, this new formulation tastes really, really good. So hydration's not optional. It's the cheat code to keep going. Hydrate smart, hydrate clean, hydrate or die. Head on over to bubsnaturals.com, grab a box. Your muscles, your brain, and your send will thank you. It's Bomb Hole approved. Let's do this. Okay, people, I'm here to talk to you about Kodiak cakes and their frozen waffles. I'm a big fan, and I'm going to tell you why. 1, they're fast. They're extremely efficient when you're trying to feed a screaming child or even a hangry adult like myself. 2, they're delicious. They got all kinds of flavors. I personally love the buttermilk and vanilla. 3, everybody's making New Year's resolutions. You want to stay on track with that resolution? Well, these babies are packed full of protein. We're talking 12 to 14 grams per serving. Great source of fiber, whole grains. You just heat it and eat it. Also, another thing we love about Kodiak is they are a proud supporter of the Bomb Hole and also a proud partner of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard team. So next time you're at the store, check out Kodiak Cake's frozen breakfast items. They're the ones with the bear on the box. Well, let's get into that. How did Nitro come to be?
Yeah, there's a multitude of things that happened at the same time, I think.
Or before you start with that, what made you think you could or had the knowledge to start a snowboard company, to make boards?
Good question.
What gave you Tommy Delago the right
the right
to make a side cut?
I never.
Great question.
I never had that thought from the beginning. I never had that thought. Okay, now I'm going to make a snowboard company. That's not what happened. I got, by the end of the 80s, the whole Sims situation kind of fell apart. They sold to Vision, and then, the distribution fell apart, and the team kind of support fell apart. So a lot of us were like, whoa, what are we going to do? Some guys went on to different sponsors. I was not that much of a...
Craig Kelly? Craig Kelly?
That was earlier. That was Craig. That was in 88. The whole mystery, I think, yeah. I got involved because of that whole teaching thing, and there was always a need of, know-how. I got involved with a magazine, snowboard magazine back over there. And I wrote all these, riding tips, and like how-tos and on all kinds of stuff, how to do a rocket air, Yeah.
Rocket is good. Did you ever do a cross rocket? Did you ever cross your hands?
I don't know. No, cross rocket. I love the rocket air. It was a good thing. I never did the cross rocket. It was not my thing. That was cool stuff. I mean, it's we laugh about it, but I'm not ashamed of any of it. None of the clothes, none of the style. It's part of it. It's cool. When I look at baggy pants, we were laughing at baggy pants like they were hot in the late 90s. We're laughing at them when we all wore tight pants, and now they're back. Well, it's just all, who knows? We've got to be doing rockets all over again. Who knows?
I mean, you think about just a full blank canvas. Like, it's like snowboarding hadn't even figured out what it is yet. You're like, I'm doing freestyle frisbeeing, and I got this other thing that's kind of adjacent, which is snowboarding, which is like,
Frisbee adjacent.
It was pretty wide open.
Yeah.
That was a cool thing, and something that came back around, for us anyways, much later when we, after all these, the Hesh years and all that, when we reopened again, man, there's this common cool thing we all got that, it has to be much more inclusive. But yeah, coming back to the point, I never had the idea like I'm going to start a snowboard company. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of like, working for the snowboard magazine, doing all these, how-tos, but I also was involved in the gear testing. So we did this for like 3 years in a row. And I was, at the end, responsible. Like, we spent like a month, like in Switzerland on the glacier in the summertime, riding. There was a lot of stuff on the market by the late 80s, probably about 200 different boards. So I had pretty much ridden every single board on the market for the, within 3 years. So I kind of knew what worked and what didn't. I still didn't know how to design a board well, but I kind of knew what I thought was a good concept, shape-wise and flex-wise and all that stuff. And then I was at this big summer camp in Austria by Jose Fernandez and Evelyn Witt. And so I was coaching there, and I got the phone call from a common friend that was a distributor for GNU back in the day in Germany. And we did a binding line or whatever from Cologne. If I was interested to help, with GNU in '89. So I came to the U.S., came to Seattle, and there was a situation that I still have to clear up with Mike and Pete, and we haven't really talked about exactly what their viewpoint was on it. They had a license situation with a company in Seattle who was distributing windsurfing, North Sail's windsurfing equipment. And for whatever reason that I still don't know, they asked me if I could help with, maybe the European aspect of design and boards. Because Mike and Pete at the point, to me, appeared like they're already focusing on lip tech, which I had started already, or Mervyn, anyways. So yeah, I basically, went in and, made all these board drawings. The first board I ever drew was a powder board. Nobody had a swallowtail at the time, and I was so intrigued with the early Apocalypse boards, the winter sticks and all that stuff. I said, man, this is the first board if I'm ever going to get to design a snowboard, it's going to be a swallowtail powder board. That was it. So I made that retro, and then a bunch of ASIM raised boards. That was a big thing at the time. The Pyro, the ASIM twin that we did, so all this stuff. So I drew all these boards, learned how to use a computer, and learned how to use a CAD program. So, and then we did this line, which initially was supposed to be a GNU line. But then there was a lot of people involved in this whole conglomerate in Seattle that had this license for GNU that were weird people that had nothing to do with snowboarding. Some finance people from Tacoma and who knows what. And then we had this presentation where we like, okay, this is the line we came up with. And I mean, Mike and Pete were not even involved at that point. And we were sitting in front of all these people, like all these old dudes that had no idea. And they were like pretty critical about like, oh, what's this guy from Germany telling us how to make a snowboard? Like, well, you don't even ride, you know? Yeah. So, you know, like Sepp, now my initial partner, who was general manager of North South Windsurfing at the time, him and I, we sat down, it's like, man, this is not going to work, you know, with these people, it's just, you know, forget it, you know. So then we sat down and just said, and convinced, you know, our then U.S. partner in Seattle, like, let's try and do our own brand, you know, with this, because these other guys, it's going to be difficult, you know. And so we started Nitro. We said, let's make our own brand and do what we want to do. And yeah, like I said, I yet have to talk with Mike and Pete about, like, they have they had the same problems with the same people from the other side, I think. So I think we got burned by some people that didn't really care much about what was going on. So there was never a plan like, okay, let's do this. You know, it was just like, man, we got this cool line. It just looks pretty good. And we can probably do it. We have production organized because, like, you know, we just talked about, I had worked with Tom on board production in Austria at the Elan factory. So we went in there, you know. So I knew these guys. And we said, okay, we got a snowboard brand, a snowboard line. We have like 10 different boards, whatever. And we know we can sell about 7,000 of these boards. And, but we have no money. We can't. So sick. We can't pay for them, you know. What about, you know, you make them and then you send them to these guys and then you collect the money from we had distributors because my partner Sepp, like I said, he was with North Sail, so he had all these distributors, these windsurfing distributors, and they were all stoked on, you know, doing snowboard stuff because they had, you know, of course, this off-balance business that was summer balance, you know, not winter balance. And so we knew we were going to sell this stuff, you know. We knew we had something going. We just didn't have the money to pay for any of the product. You know? And Elan, you know, Elan is initially it was a company from Slovenia, but they had this production in Austria. And that Austrian production had, you know, was then and later on a number of more times had some financial issues. So we're kind of against the wall, you know, with their backs against the wall at the time. So they had nothing to lose. It's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So they built the molds. We didn't pay them for the molds, you know, in the beginning, later on, of course. But and we had this thing where they actually, we discuss a price with them. And we tell them, okay, this is the price you're charging to the distributions. So they actually invoiced our boards to our distributors, and they paid us the difference. You know? We did that for a number of years. So it was.
How'd you come up with the name Nitro?
Nitro was actually a model name for that GNU line that we're working. There was a board that was supposed to be called Nitro, and we only had, you know, a couple of weeks to come up with the name, and you know. Rebuild all the art for the graphics and everything. So it was initially a model name for a board in that line.
Hell yeah. Worked out. It's a great name.
Yeah, it worked out good, yeah. And we never researched anything. It was crazy. Like today, we would not do this.
Does anybody own the trademark?
It sounds good. You know, just go.
No money, no research. Yeah. Nitro, we're going with it.
So here we got no money. We got basically no trademark. No. Will you make these boards for us? Again, we will not be giving you any money. And then, but Elan, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. We had a really long and really good relationship with them, you know. And eventually, they closed. That factory was closed. So
they must have owned a percentage of the company, right? Elan, in order to do that, or no?
Of our company?
Yeah.
No,
they didn't. They just financed it on the side.
Well, like you said, they had nothing to lose. They were like, okay, well, I mean, they told us maybe we're not going to be here next year anyways because
solid start.
You know, so it's cool because that kind of stuff builds pretty intense, you know, relationships.
100%.
And we had, I mean, they had issues. They had a fire later on at some point. You know, they have the factory burned down, and this is how you kind of still stick together and pull something like this through. You know, it's not like the full-on business relationship, you know.
Yeah.
It was like a really deep trust and friendship, you know. And there were some management changes later on that made it more difficult, you know, because that factory was always just a subsidiary of the main company in Slovenia.
Yep.
But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting times because they made this factory was built to make cheap skis, foam core, blow molded. That's also where we had the biggest problems with Sims because the Sims boards that they made in the US or I think also Mexico, I'm not sure, they were laminated. First, they were, of course, like fixed ply skate lamination, like horizontal lamination, and then they went into vertical, but always wood core. And they put the inserts in afterwards with the helicoil. You know, so basically I had a thread on the outside, thread on the inside. So they drilled a hole, they just put some glue in, and just put the inserts in after the fact. And they tried the same thing in Austria, foam core boards. So we had massive problems with the inserts ripping out. I mean, that doesn't work in foam, you know, so we had to come up with different solutions for that. But out of the boards that I had for my snowboard school, that was the biggest thing we always did. Like every Sunday night, like, okay, it's gluing time, just like T-bolting and gluing back inserts because stuff had ripped out all the time, you know.
Was the first year of Nitro a success?
Yeah.
Did you sell 7,000 boards?
Yeah. We sold exactly what we told them. Yeah. It was fine.
So then you're sitting there, you're like, you have this idea, you came up with a line, you came up with a name, it works. End of year one, what's going through your head? You're just off to the races. You're like, here we go. Year one.
You just keep doing it. It's like there was never, I don't know if we ever really had well, today we may have a business plan. We have a business plan, yes.
We got a plan, Tommy. We totally got a plan over here.
Do we? No, but well, I'm not a numbers guy anyway. So that was always my partner Sepp's, you know, realm. I was always the product guy. I was the guy with the long snowboarding background, the connection to all the riders. Like we were lucky too because I had a lot of people that I was, you know, together with. So we had some like high profile riders from the beginning in Europe, and we got some good people in the US together. So we had a good team from the beginning. But yeah, there was no. You just keep doing it. This works, cool. You just do it the next year. You just keep doing it. There's no like sitting back. Okay, so what's next? Like strategy.
Yeah, you
strategizing.
Decide to do something. Here we are, 36 years later, and you're still doing the same thing.
Same with Bombhole. Same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing.
totally.
Just keep going.
Yeah, we have a business plan now. That's
Yeah, we got a plan now.
Hey, how do you like working with Knut?
It's pretty amazing, you know. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't have to say this, you know. He has to say this about me, but
I think you're the boss. He's the greatest founder of all time, Tommy Delago. Such a people person, greatest guy.
No, Knut's great. He is.
He wears a lot of hats.
amazing.
It seems like seems like he's doing a lot over there.
Yeah, for the receding hairline, I have to wear a hat every day. Yeah. And also, we do a lot over there. But at Nitro, there's a bunch of us. I'm just like, I have the
You mean
biggest
with
forehead.
receding hairlines, or
Yeah.
With what?
bunch of us with receding hairlines?
No, there's actually, I'm the only one at Nitro with a receding hairline. There's a bunch of us with receding hairlines at Nitro.
Yeah.
No, there's a bunch of us. I do wear a lot of hats. But yeah, it's honor to work here.
So as the company develops, did you have any certain milestones that kind of stuck out to you as business went and grew? And
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Probably like it's such a constant flow of stuff that happens, you know, and you adapt. You're trying to, you know, push certain things, certain trends. Sometimes you fail. I think honestly, probably the one milestone that we've had, and Knut and also Andy, our sales marketing person, had to do a lot with that, was like after all these years, kind of like in the, you know, just in the wheel, just keep going, and like pushing forward, like the marketing crew stepping back, and this is like some 10 years ago, maybe
15, 12 years ago,
and finally coming up with. What are we? What are we about? Who are we? That's probably the one milestone I really remember, and I think that defines us today. Is like from trying to be core, trying to be cool, and trying to be rad, trying to be like we're like labeled the Hash Company in the 2000s because we all like rock. You know?
And
Antonino, of course. So he likes rock. That's great, you know. Well, we're all in the same kind of, you know, mode, you know, which is cool. But for the marketing team to step back and say, okay, what defines us? What's different, and how do we see things? And stepping away from trying to be core. For me, core today is almost a negative term, because core means it's exclusive. You know, you're wearing the wrong hat, you're not core. You're wearing the wrong, clothes. You're, riding this type of board, you're not core. That's not. I don't think that's cool. So core is, for me, negative. Authentic is a better way to put it. But stepping away from that core thing, trying to be core, and being open and exclusive and promoting the fun aspect of snowboarding, like, people rent snowboards. Hell yeah, it's great. I mean, I see people renting stuff and just, they're snowboarders. They're, have their hard times learning how to ride and all this stuff. Cool. It's great. And just stepping away from that, trying to be cool and core. More like, hey, we're all riding, we're all have fun, we're all sideways on the board. That was the one milestone, I think, in the company that made a huge difference. And I think it defines us today.
100%.
So, yeah. It was, and for me, it was an easy one, because I always saw Nitro as, I rode for Nitro, and I thought Nitro was cool as F. Yeah. Because it was core. And we had, like, Lucas Huffman, we had MFM was on the team, and it was sick. And that was cool. And I loved that part about it. But then I also saw, once I got involved with the company as a rider, I saw there was this whole other side on the European side, the sales rep side, just the full company. And it was just like everyone was different, but everyone was getting along, having fun at parties together, even though some were cool and some were just regular guys. And they all just like snowboarding. Yeah. And I really thought we just had to show that. Or Andy and I, for sure, we had to just show that Nitro is more than just this one little thing. What makes it actually rad is that everyone in the company just loves snowboarding. Mm-hmm. And it's just a snowboarder. Yeah. And we need to show that. And also that goes with a team of 50 riders, for example. Yeah. I mean, to represent everything, also, you need a lot of people.
I think also showing like those high-profile riders just doing fun stuff everybody can relate to. I think that was the big thing.
That was, you're right. That was the big thing. Because back then we had these insane riders, and you'd only see their best stuff. Yeah. And what made them special in my eyes was watching them snowboard when a camera wasn't in front of them. Mm-hmm. How rad and how much fun they had when they were just doing like a backflip or a butter. So when we made these movies, we made this first movie called Hyped. Yep. And the whole concept behind that movie was we were going to show the team how they actually ride when they're not filmed. And that really, I think, sparked a lot of energy with Nitro. Just like, oh, wow, there is more to snowboarding, just like the best trick and the coolest clothes and the best backflip and the best lighting and the best, at that point, Tech 9 dolly cam shot. Yep. There's like the rawness is the coolest.
Yeah. Well said. So, I got another question, too, about Nitro, because I feel like when I was really young, Nitro almost felt a little bit more like a European brand. And then at a certain point in time, it changed where it was just Nitro. But how was it coming from Europe, trying to, I guess, be just a global brand and not be viewed as European? Breaking into the North American market.
You should explain, Tommy, the first time you came over to make the first Nitro movie.
Yeah. It's
called Go Nitro. Go Nitro was the name of the first movie.
It was called
Go Nitro.
It was
like a huddle. On 3, break it down. Go Nitro.
Go Nitro. I mean, when we started, and I did spend a lot of time, of course, in Seattle and the Seattle area. We shot the first movie up at Baker, and then also down here, obviously where their riders were. But I think I was a little oblivious about, how different the developments had been in Europe and in the US or North America. So I came over like, we got this cool stuff and do this and this and this and that, And of course, there must have been that perception of, okay, here's a European, group that's putting out this stuff, On the contrary, in Europe, we have always been and still are seen as a US brand. We never claimed that. We never promoted that. Just the way that we have been seen, I guess, and with the images and everything we've done, and maybe the fact that we started in Seattle together. So it actually goes the other way too, So, but I did come in kind of naive, like, oh yeah, it's cool. Let's do all this stuff. Let's make AC race boards. And somebody goes, whoa, We made this board called the Amero Slalom, And we made this race board, and we had this abbreviation that says EFT on it, And it was never clear what it actually meant, It's like there's one thing, it's called Earth, Freedom, Tranquility, because we had this thing, this
Griffin Siebert still rocks that.
So it was for me it was just the way we thought we do things. There were so many people from over here involved that I felt it was a production somehow. And I still think Nitro is, even though it's seen this way, that way, which, by the way, has a lot to do with the distributors. Like whoever is out in the field selling, promoting the brand, how involved and how authentic they are. And we've gone through our, up and downs in the U.S. with the sales team, We've been sold by Technical Skis out on the East Coast, which is probably not the best thing, We've worked a long time with the Kind. They did a really good job until they blew up and just went so big with their backpack business that they just, had to focus on that, So now with the group we have now, it's clearly, visible for us that, it's truly authentic. Everybody's stoked and it shows, But I think the image of any brand has a lot to do with the people in the field in any market. And like I said, it's seen as a US brand in Europe. There's this book, the school book. I was blown away. There's this school book in Bavaria, in Germany. Like every state has their own school system, or like books and everything. It's the geography school book for 10th grade. I don't know how I found this. Actually, one of my kids had it. I think, like, what? Hey, Daddy, you're in the school book. And there is like geography, like they talk about regions and talk about the Seattle region. And there's like, okay, and then there's like the Pacific Northwest with all these companies like Adobe and Starbucks and Boeing and Microsoft and all this stuff. And Nitro Snowboards also made there. They have a photo of the Misfit in the German geography school book. It's fucking crazy, So that goes to show like they don't even research your stuff,
Seattle-based company.
100%
Maybe Microsoft is not out of Redmond or whatever. It's funny. It's really funny how that goes.
I want you to share earlier, too, before we went on air, you mentioned a quote you have on your door, I think, super inspiring.
Oh, yeah. That's, not to sound cocky, but, when you develop stuff, you learn how to read feedback and you learn how to still maybe do your own thing or what, you have in your group. So I found this quote. It's the Henry Ford quote from way back, obviously. And it said, if I would have asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses. Goes to show that, you don't even always need to do what people want. Maybe there's something else out on the horizon that is maybe what they need, not what they want. Goes with the Zen navigation. It's the same thing with Zen. Zen navigation.
No, I do not know that. What that is.
My favorite author is the late Douglas Adams. He didn't write many books, but all of them are amazing. He wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and a bunch of crazy stuff. And at one point, he talks about Zen navigation. It's like you pick out any car, you're lost somewhere. You pick out any car that looks like it knows where you're going, and you follow it. And most of the time, you don't end up where you wanted to go, but you end up where you need to be. Yeah.
But in snowboarding, I bet you've gotten, over the last 36 years, I bet in snowboarding, over the last 36 years, you've probably gotten a lot of people telling you what you should do with the boards.
Yeah.
So you got to use that, you got to filter that out.
I think you got to respect all these different viewpoints. That's something we're trying to do. And respect all the different markets, what they want, what they need. And then kind of work through that and understand their needs. Maybe you don't end up doing what they want, but you do what they maybe need, But it starts with respecting the different viewpoints and different, markets for sure.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break with some hot takes presented by Mammoth Mountain.
You know what, Silk? I love that.
Okay, first question, favorite park?
I'm going main park, high-speed quad, hot laps. You're lapping all day, getting reps up. Main park, final answer.
Okay, I like that. Next question, favorite feature?
Favorite feature is just going to be the jumps. Small, medium, and large. They're all perfectly built. Can't go wrong with the Mammoth jump.
Most iconic feature?
That's got to be the deck rail. That thing's been in rotation for over 2 decades. Shane Flood did a switch hot garbage on it back in the day. A little fun fact.
Okay, favorite session?
Favorite session, I got to witness some super park sessions, but the one that sticks out to me that's really iconic is the Danny Cass eyeball jump session.
Wow. Favorite shot from a video?
I'm going Danny Cass Switchback Rodeo eyeball jump bondage.
That's a good one. Last question. Favorite thing about Mammoth Mountain?
Just good people over there. Good people, great parks, high-speed quads. I love it in the spring, personally. Slushy park laps. You can't beat it over at Mammoth Mountain, Silk.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good time, check out Mammoth Mountain.
We'll see you there.
If you're looking to improve your snowboarding, maybe dial in those fundies, heck, even just having a good time with the boys, Woodward Park City is going to be hands down your best bet to make all that happen and more this season, because Woodward Park City is a state-of-the-art action sports hub. It's only 20 minutes from Salt Lake City. I mean, that's just blink of an eye and you're on the chairlift. And in a world filled with overcrowded resorts, jam-packed parking lots, long drives to the chair, Woodward Park City is offering you a solution that not many other resorts are even able to fathom. And new this year, the Winter Mountain Park Season Pass. For only $499, you can ride all season at one of the Wasatch's best terrain parks. You can get the most fun and legitimately the best value out of your winter. You can maximize your time, easy in, easy out. It's right across from the freeway. Tiny walk and you're on the chairlift in seconds. If you want it all, you can get indoor access, outdoor access, special access to all the events, exclusive discounts. You're going to need the all-access membership. You'll be treated like a king royalty over at Woodward Park City. And if you want some more information, head on over to woodwardparkcity.com. Hello? Oh, it's actually for you, the listeners. I'd like to introduce you to the everyday hydration solution. And of course, we're talking about Yeti's latest product, the Rambler Travel Straw Mug. Boy, is this thing pretty and practical. It's got a straw, quick flip, 100% leak proof when it's closed, okay? It's going to be great for sipping on the road again, in the gym, in the wild, or any possible scenarios in between. It's got great lid positioning, an incredible handle, good for righties and lefties. Now you're probably wondering, are there any key features I need to know about? Yes, absolutely. Like I said, 100% leak proof when the straw is closed, quick flip, so it's ready to drink at any moment. It's cup holder compatible. It's got an easy grip handle, very intuitive, okay? It's double wall vacuum insulated to keep your cold drinks cold, even on the hottest of days. It's rust and puncture resistant because guess what? Made with kitchen grade stainless steel. And last but not least, dishwasher safe. So if anybody out there is drinking any beverages this year, I highly recommend you get your hands on the Yeti Rambler Travel Straw Mug, which you can find over at yeti.com.
Well, we have a lot of people, especially like with product innovation. You guys have been around for 36 years, seen a lot of snowboard technology come and go and evolve and been a part of a lot of that. And we have a Patreon question from Andrew Cruz. Do you want to hit that one? And then maybe also explain what Pyro ASIM is for on a first grade reading level as well.
Yeah, so thank you to all our Patreon questions, or Patreon members for asking questions. This question is, who came up with the concept of the first Pyro ASIM twin?
Yeah, well, we did. Yeah, it was in the first line, the first year we ever made Nitro. We made those boards. The idea was, of course, at the same time there was asymmetrical race boards. Asim race boards are based on the fact that you're standing in the board with a certain angle, and when you go from toe to heel side, you want your feet binding to be in the middle of the side cut, so you have the same amount of pressure, the same amount of angle of attack, on each side.
So your heel and your toe edge are different.
Yeah, well, they are shifted.
They're shifted.
So back in the day, there was of course, everybody's riding angle forward. Anywhere like 45, 30 degrees was, the goal for a while. And that's really, hard boots racing and everything. So it was logical to also shift like the side cut. So your toe will be in the same position on the side cut as your heel will be. So you should shift like that. Which later on, by the way, became obsolete when the angles got even steeper, because as soon as you go beyond 45 degrees on average, you're not making toe and heel side turns, you're making left and right turns.
Yeah.
And you're leaning left and right, and that's why this ASIM board disappeared in racing, because everybody got the skinny symmetrical boards again. But back to the pyro. The second part of these boards, always for the race boards, was always that your heel side had a deeper side cut. Because you bend your knees forwards, it's always easier to make a toe side turn, toe side carve. You feel more comfortable. You have more flexibility, more ways to adapt and adjust in your knees versus on your heel. I mean, you can only straighten your knees and that's it. You can't go the other way. So you obviously have to make a deeper side cut because your body doesn't allow you to bend more in that direction to, basically put the board on edge. And you have always less of a hillside edge, hillside angle. With a deeper side cut, you can make the same radius as you go tall. And the pyro was basically based on that concept that we had a board that was built to make a hillside turn and a toe side turn, and they would feel naturally, it would feel the same. And to do that, you have to put more side cut on the hillside. But it also means either you make left goofy or
yeah, you have to make specific boards to the stance.
Well, yeah,
of the rider.
but we didn't want to do that, so we made twins. There wasn't really many twins.
Oh shit! So you just ride it either way.
Yeah. There was not many twins on the market at that time. So we made a twin board. So truly a symmetrical tip and tail. You had dead center stance. You could set it back a little bit, but you used the same board to go regular or goofy.
And you made it.
Yeah,
you drew it.
Yeah. Pretty soon after, Santa Cruz did the same thing. They claimed that they invented it, but they were a year after us.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, I was
Hit
gonna
that
ask
first one.
If we want to keep on the board design stuff. This question is from Mariano Andres Gilbert. Here's the question. Where do you see board innovation evolving? Is it in materials or more on the fine-tuning of designs?
I'm personally always more interested in the fine-tuning of the design. I really do believe you can make amazing snowboards with wood, plastic, fiberglass, some steel edges. Everybody has tried all kinds of exotic materials, and they have done less to snowboarding than innovation in shapes, innovation in fine-tuning. With enough, obviously with enough experience, you can make any shape work if you give it the right flex and vice versa. So I do think it's more in the shapes, but I also think it's more in the variety. We've seen, a certain amount of time, like look at the late 90s, basically all throughout the 2000s, just about all boards look the same. They're all the same lollipop, nose and tail, twin tips. That was everything all road. Everybody was trying to hit the park, and that was it. It was really not easy to sell swallows, which we had all the time, And then, some years ago, all of a sudden we saw this resurgence of, hey, there's more out there than just the lollipop twin tip boards. Mm-hmm. Nothing against twin tips, great, but there's more out there. So my main thing is that's where I see innovation going, not like better, but just keeping it broad, making people try different things. That's, for me, the most satisfying thing is like making a board and people discovering, wow, I can do this kind of stuff on it. I can write differently with this, So people open up their mind more and just like try different things, and get stoked, not by, making stuff that's more difficult and trying to, hit the longer, bigger rails, stairs, and get hurt, whatever. But try to do stuff that I didn't know I could do this. And that's what I get like when we like at these events just up there yesterday, the day before. Pushing people on a board that they're I don't know about this. Should I be riding a 2 or 3 powder board? Like, yeah, try it. You'll have fun on it. That kind of stuff. For me, that's innovation. I don't want to nerd out on like making this a little lighter and doing why.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Also, it reminds me of surfboards. So you see people surfing there, got all different types of shapes.
Yeah.
Now think about Nitro, how many boards you guys have made over the past 3 decades. Do you guys have a franchise board, one that you're really proud of that really like put the brand on its back over the years?
I don't know. It's really so many of them. I don't know. There's really too many.
Too many. How many SKUs you got? How many? What's that?
Could you pick one board that stands out?
I mean, no.
I think T1. The T1 for me as a video park guy seems to be a
that was one that for sure helped us get into that. Part,
and then I think Swallowtail.
I mean,
those are the two.
Swallowtails for sure. All the
staple.
cannons.
Yeah.
The
German sales team, they have at their office, they have a collection, and we talked about this beautiful collection of shit in here. It's amazing, Yeah. And they have a collection of every single Swallowtail we ever made. It's pretty
amazing.
cool, And that at times where nobody wanted them, It was years where we made 20, So what the cool thing is, like what you said, you like the T1 for you was the one, That for me the nicest thing is, I personally don't like every board in the line. It would be crazy if I would, because they would all ride the same. I have a handful of boards that I really like, that I really ride a lot. And the nice thing is that iconic board is a different board for different people.
True. Yeah.
Like the Team is a typical example. The Team was the go-to board for the riders back when we first started, over 20 years ago. And then it became then we got the Team 1, we got a bunch of other boards. So the riders moved on to these other new boards. And the Team was sitting there and became everybody's darling. Like shops today, they sell Teams. They know everybody can ride the board. And then about 10 years ago, Sam Taxwood was one of the first guys that came back onto the Team. And he's like, I want to ride the Team, And now we got the Team and the Team Pro. So we got these top-level riders riding what's today our bread and butter board, And so it just goes to say that iconic board, just means something different for different people. And that's what I think is cool,
Totally. And I feel like as you guys have evolved, when I look at Nitro as an outsider, I look at that alternator and I'm like, damn, that's got to be a winner for you guys too.
That is a winner. That is a winner. And that's the evolution too. It went from the Team, which is basically a directional twin.
Yep.
And now it's the snowboarders today, they want to ride more of an all-mountain board.
Yep.
To get out there. And then it was Griffin Siebert and Jared Elston who wanted basically the Team with just more directional shape with a loud graphic. Because there were directional boards everywhere on the market, but they just had boring, standard graphic design, easy. You can't hate on it.
Says the brand's name big on the bottom.
Says the brand's name big, and those guys are like, this board it's a boring board. It's not boring. It's an amazing board, but there's nothing new about it. They're directional boards 20 years ago. But then they're like, let's just make this stick out, cool, represent us now. And that really resonated with the market, and it's our second best-selling board pretty much now. We have 3 models of it now. So it's always changing. But I do think staple board, going back to that, for sure would have to be a Swallowtail. Yeah. It definitely represents everything that Nitro is about, just being kind of an outsider, just expanding your horizon, like you said.
Yeah. It goes back to the retro, that there was we never sold that board, really. The cool thing is about being, who we are. We can do whatever we want,
Yeah, totally. If you're privately owned.
And we just, if we make this sport, just do it, and that's nice, and not many people have that, So just the sports in the line, like the OG, right now, the Guest Shaper project that we started last year with Drew, this kind of stuff is, we don't have to sell it. But then sometimes you're like, wow, people really are stoked on it, But doing that stuff without any sort of pressure, sales-wise, kind of brings out some really cool stuff sometimes.
100%. That's the beauty of being privately owned too, right? You think about all these companies that have to adhere to shareholders, and it's all about the bottom line. It's all about the spreadsheet being in the profit category, growing, and then for you, I'm sure over the years people have approached you. Why have you chosen to stay privately owned?
Oh, there was never a reason to do it. We had an external partner. We were involved with the Dolomite Technica, brand group for a while. They approached us and they bought some shares. Eventually, they stole them back because they just didn't understand our business.
You know what? We don't want anything to do with that.
Honestly, we took away, some good things. It helped us to tap into their boot design and knowledge and know-how. And that's what really put us on the map with boots back in around 2000 or so, which was cool, But there's no reason, we're self-financed, we're doing okay. We don't have a need for crazy growth, There's no pressure other than the pressure we put on ourselves to do our stuff and pay our people, And that's all you want. And, over years when you've seen companies come and go, there's always the hot new thing. And that's great. I think that's something that I really enjoy. There is, new brands, new people, starting brands pushing us, like, just pushing you a little bit, stinging you in the back a little bit. Like,
I mean,
taking team riders.
It helps.
Taking team riders. It's usually not. It's usually not
That's a different story.
It's not
those guys.
It's not the new brands.
No.
Team riders.
Burton seems to take quite a few.
Yeah, they got some. But it's just.
It's
okay.
It's good. If that happens, I mean, if that happens, I think it's most of the time a discussion of, hey man, you just got to take that offer.
Yeah. Don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot. We can't do that. We can never pay you that much.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's why I think for the most part, if riders have left, it have never been on a bad tone. There's not been bitterness. It's like, hey man, it's too bad, but I think that's the way things go.
Yeah, it was only when I first started for Nitro in whatever that was, early 2000s, mid 2000s. Then the economy was kind of going down. Like I started at the worst time ever to be the team manager. It was at a peak, and I started on right when the roller coaster goes down. And that was what was that? Oh, it was the housing crisis. Mm-hmm. So the economy was going down, and obviously sales are going down, budgets are going down, and then I had to let a few people go during that time. And that's the only time, pretty much. And since then, it's been people just been upgraded, or they've lateral moved.
Yeah, As somebody that's been in the snowboard game for 30 years, you've seen things spike up, spike down, roller coaster. Where are we at right now, Tommy? How do you feel about the current state of snowboard hard goods sales?
I think we're in a good position. From if we want it, like business-wise, we say the market's dried up. There's not much stuff in the market, which is always a risk if you have some people coming in that have sales pressure from investors, or they overestimate what they can do or whatever. So we don't have much of that right now. So I don't think the market is really growing, except for China, which is really growing. But I think we have a stable market. We have, like most of the players in the market are in it for the right reasons. And that's a nice situation to have. We're competitors, but for the most part, we're also friends. We have the same goals, same things in common. We compete on a friendly and honest level, which, if anything, it just progresses snowboarding. I think that's cool. So I'm stoked right now, and we're not having a great winter. And everybody I talk to, they're like, oh well, a slow start, but it's actually pretty good. So I'm super optimistic right now. There's nothing that I see that's really threatening snowboarding at this point.
Cool. That's really good to hear.
And it was cool. Like this at Interlude now and at Shops First Try, these are important events where the snowboard community and the brands can get together, and we have relationships with all of our competitors, and then you get a feel of how it's going, and it is in a good spot right now. And it is, like Tommy said, all the players that are in it right now they're in it for the same reason. Mm-hmm. So it's just the snowboard community market business is in a really good spot. It's a healthy position at the moment, which is nice.
Yeah, because there was times when everything was overheated. You got weird people coming in like, "Whoa, we can make a lot of money." Nobody can make a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah. Weeds people out though, right?
And I've just got done paying the mortgage of my house remodeling. I'm not fine, but we can pay everybody. I can support my family, and everybody can. And that's all you can ask for. What else do you want? So, and I think that's what most other people are also looking for. There's not many people that are in this now trying to build a company and then sell it off or something. Like all that stuff happened before.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's not overheated. It's just positively growing. It's a good mood, and stuff is progressing. So like I said, the competition we have is healthy, and it's just helping everybody.
As a tech guru of snowboarding, seeing the new binding wars come in, you have step-ons, you have bays, you have Supermatic, you have all these. The one area of innovation that seems to be really getting pushed like really hard, it is bindings right now, which I think is kind of exciting. If you zoom out on a 40-year scale, that's kind of where we're at right now. What's your take on that?
It's interesting you say bindings. For me, it's actually boots, because we are of course we're in the step-on team, so we partnered up.
There's Nitro and step-ons.
Nitro, Burton, Union, and Flux. We're doing step-ons, and so I don't know, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
and obviously there the main focus is on boots. That's why and I'm a boot guy. I love making boots, and for me, for the past 20 years, boots have probably seen the biggest evolution. within our industry, looking at boards, the way we make boards today, and except for the, diversity in shapes is the same we've made it, 20, 30 years ago, really. Almost the same goes for bindings with some, trending here and there, but boots have made a huge step forward, So, yeah, it's interesting to see that, of course, there's a big push towards convenience. We see convenience in general in any aspect. People want it easy, there's a lot more people that don't want to stress out and want to enjoy their, whatever they do after time, and it's got to be easy, fast, and that falls right in line with the, growth of easy entry concepts, let's say, So there is, of course, your, systems that are based on a strap binding concept that, have some mechanisms to get in there easier. For us, and that's a strategic question. And I'm happy to talk about this openly because I have the same discussion with the boys from Nitro that do phase and Supermatic. That's cool. It's great for the shops right now. It's great for the industry. It brings people into snowboarding or keeps them in snowboarding. For us, in the long run, we don't see that as the solution. We see an interface that's simple, effective, bulletproof, easy. So a mechanism like the step-on that we're working on right now. And we see another huge step in boot improvement. So I definitely see 5 to 10 years from now, that's probably what's going to be the main solution for a lot of people, I'm not saying strap binding is going to go away. Maybe it's going to be something like, standard lacing and any sort of technical lacing. Most of the boots today have some sort of a technical lacing solution. And there is like standard laces for a certain group of people that just like, that's all I need. I don't want to deal with any of this other stuff. Maybe that's the way it's going. For us, we see a clean, functional interface that's locking your boot to the board and pretty big steps in boot development. So that's why we're involved in Step-On. It's also why we didn't come up with another interface. Like we've seen all this 25 years ago when we had 5, 6, 7 interfaces in the market and everybody was confused. Shops were confused. There's too much stuff and then it all collapsed. So we need clarity. We need one interface, and everybody's just beating the hell out of making the best boots for it.
Yeah. And it's cool. It shows that snowboarding is in a healthier mindset than it was in 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the new convenience binding came apart, and every brand wanted to own it, do their own thing.
True.
And with Nitro, we were like, Burton created the Step-On.
Yeah.
They invested millions into it. Great job with it. And then it's like, okay, let's just come together.
Yeah. I think we all learned from that, So, today we have, this group that's working on Step-On and the development of it, and maybe there's going to be evolutions of the actual interface in the years to come. And again, we compete, we compete like hell. We all try to make better stuff.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
great.
Yeah.
But we all have the same common goal. We want to make this perfect. We want to make it better for the riders. We want to make it better for the shops, less confusing. So we get together like last week. We all rode together. Burton, Union guys, us. We just go up and ride together, and so that's a change in mindset. I think that's different from 25 years ago. That we do have this knowledge from the past, and we do have this common goal. Okay, we want to make this better for everybody together.
All right, everything comes full circle. Let me blow your mind here. You're talking about convenience binding. Original Step-On, hard boots. Comes full circle. Have you guys considered?
I think it's going to come back.
Yeah, if I'm doing a trend forecast, I think hard boots we're about back. If you want to be ahead of the trend.
3D molded boots.
We are making hard boots as we speak, like our stiffest boots, like those guys are fucking vices, I couldn't ride those things. I want to ride them all the time because they look dope, but I'm just I can't do it, So, I rode hard boots for, part of my, time, but I think if you take any one of the stiffest soft boots on the market today and put them in a decent, stiffer binding, you're not really far away from what we had in the hard boot days, So, unless you're riding ski boots, But the hard boots we had back then were not that stiff, really. The Reiklis and the Koflaks we were riding were, kind of soft, really. They're probably the same as one of the stiffer soft boots on the market. So I don't know if that's coming full circle. It's kind of weird though, you know. But for me, it's a bigger circle because I started with power surfing, you know, we're power surfing now.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
No bunions.
Look at that perspective. You know?
That's
That's
back
cool
in
for me,
full
you know.
force,
It's
yeah.
for me like, wow, you know, whoa. That's how we started, you know.
Look at
And
this
it's
cool
fun,
new thing.
you know?
Power surfing. You're like, what? I've been trying so hard to get away from this.
We just worked all these years to get all this stuff on the board to make it work, and it's fun. It's great. I love it. But you know, the one thing about this hardwood thing is kind of it also throwing me off a bit that there is this parallel universe. You know, now I just recently read this thing on like Olympics coming up and all that. Not to say that that's so important, but it also shows like there's this racer end of snowboarding that none of us has any connection with. You know, it's weird. It's kind of sad though. You know, the same goes for border cross. I was at the snowboard camp like some years ago with the Lua in some little resort, and there was a border cross European Cup going on at the same time. I didn't know any of the people there. Nobody. So it's a complete parallel universe, and it's sad because it also shows that exclusion of that. They're not cool.
True.
For the longest time, we thought they're not cool.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, they're snowboarders.
100%.
And they love it. And they go through the same thing we all went through, and they're just living a different aspect of it, you know. And that's something we still haven't done. We haven't gotten those guys included, you know. We still look down when we see some, like we saw some, where was it now, in Austria somewhere. You sit in this chair and it's like some, oh, gosh, check it out, there's a hot booter.
Yeah.
You're like, what? You know, you're looking at them as not part of your gang. And that's not cool, actually, I think. You know?
Damn.
Yeah. That's what Tommy
Wise
rules.
words.
Hey,
They
Tommy,
are.
Tommy, he is the guy.
He's spitting bars.
100%. He just believes a snowboarder is a snowboarder. If you strapped in, learned how
Yeah.
to do it, fell over, caught your edge once, but he's persevered.
Yeah.
He literally has the mindset of like,
100%.
you are in the crew. Me, on the other hand, I look at that guy, I'm like, get out of my way.
Well, dude, we get people, you know, like we'll get messages. You don't have enough half pipe riders. You need to have more split boarders on the show. You need to have all these different segments of snowboard. It's like the only people that can really complain are the border crossers and the racers. Those guys, they get no
love.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that. I'm sorry. It's just not, we got horse blinders on and they're not in the horse blinder realm, but we got to open, it's cool. But how do you're drawn to what you're drawn to, I guess. You know?
And even though that sounds really weird, you know, probably the only time when those guys are together with our end of snowboarding is during an event like the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know, they're all of a sudden they're like, oh, these are the snowboarders. So maybe it's that, I don't know, maybe there is that common feeling that,
I mean, even
like they meet each other and they've never, you know, it was like, I think it was something about, something on the news, like who carries the Austrian flag at the opening ceremony. It was Anagasa and some Austrian racer that I've never heard of before.
It's pretty crazy.
You know, and they carry the flag, you know, at the opening ceremony. So maybe that's a really a weird way to get those two areas together. You know?
We love racing. We just like, it's the bank slaloms and the Dirks and Derbies and the Baker Banks. And then, but then the just the slaloms where people are bashing gates.
I mean, that's where I think the freestyle world right now, freestyle, slopestyle, big air thing, they're headed in a slippery slope situation where they're becoming too serious.
Yeah.
And that, like border cross and racing back in the day, it was connected because everyone did it.
You had Palmer, you had these badasses.
Terrier would do it. He'd do the backflip or the 360 mid border cross. But then it was because it wasn't so serious.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to win, but it wasn't so serious. And then it became serious and then you shun it. And the same is happening with like slopestyle and stuff now. It's so serious.
Good observation.
Where people are just going to be like, I don't want anything to do with this. And that's a scary thought because then we become even more segmented.
All that stuff's happened before. I'm going to put in another one before you do it. I also used to be a freestyle skier competitor.
Here we go.
Oh, shit.
But that's like back in that's like late 70s, early 80s, you know. And I got into it and it was really cool. It was like freestyle skiing was hot dogging, like crazy stuff. It was the outcast, fun, weird stuff to do, you know. And I got into the competitive aspect of it. And that's when it got weird, you know, when it all started dividing into like moguls, and moguls became more and more time-based. When I started out, moguls was like, who does the craziest stuff, you know, airs and shit. And then
who can shred the moguls?
Who's shredding them?
Moguls was crazy, you know. We had mogul contests in snowboarding, you know, that was crazy too. But And
Andy Hetzel, I think is the
world local champion.
yeah. And over time, they pushed the timing aspect more, you know. And then freestyle became ballet, and that got weird, you know.
Yeah.
and then aerials were like rad, crazy shit in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it became all weird too.
Yeah.
And at the end of it was there was people like, you know, they could hardly ski. You know, they were all like trampoline people. They're just trained all this weird stuff on trampolines all summer long. They just basically made it to the kicker, did whatever, how many flips and twists, whatever. People kind of couldn't almost count anymore. And they landed and just did one turn and stop. And that was it. That's all they could ski. And we got to be careful that we're not going in that direction where it's just a flying circus and, you know, need that. That's why knuckle huck for me is like, that's so amazing, you know. It's like, fuck, it's crazy, you know. So we don't move in that exclusive and like where parents see it, wow, Johnny, you're not doing this stuff, you know. And it's happened, you know. When my kids were like in elementary school, it's really weird. I got really mad. Like where we are, like it's pretty typical. Like most of the time, there's like ski lessons offered for free, so they're all like, you know. Luckily, my kids did that only for one season. They all went snowboarding after without pressure. But and then they have these skiing days, like, you know, winter sport days. And when they're in elementary, they sent or gave like the kids this flyer. Okay, look, this how to do, when to meet, all this stuff, and said, okay, everybody was, you know, all the kids need to wear a helmet. And all the snowboarders need to wear a back protector. I was like, what? Like, I went to school, like, what are you guys talking about, you know? With this, you're saying snowboarding is dangerous.
Yeah.
And skiing is not. Like, that's not cool, you know? Like, okay, if everybody has to wear a back protector, great.
Yeah.
But why do you divide that? What's happening, you know? And that subliminal message to parents that snowboarding is dangerous and something like, you know, you don't want anything to do with, that's not cool, you know. And by doing too much of the, you know, extreme circus type of stuff, you know, that's the slippery slope, like you said. And I think so.
100%. And you can tell the audience is getting turned off by it. Snowboarders, I mean, freaking, we comment on major events and it's just, they're just like, I don't care. Once you get past, we call it military time. You know, once you go, once you go into past 1260, you know, and all that, you get into military time or European time. You guys are in the 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
I guess we'll call it European time. People they're out on it because it's like 1980. You know,
and it becomes a circus attraction. I remember, you know, the Aaron Style in Innsbruck, which was a huge event, you know, for years, and one of the last ones I went to, it was my son's 66th birthday, or like, you know, so it was 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. We all went with the family, and Aaron Style, let's go. And they already had it downtown scaffolding and all these, you know, in the like, industrial zone. And it was frustrating. It was horrible because the crowd there, it was just a circus event. It was pure. It could have been Hell Drivers, could have been Evel Knievel, anything dangerous. Maybe somebody gets hurt, that kind of stuff. Rock concerts, and most of the people came for the rock shows that were around it. And at the end of the day, the snowboarders were around. The snowboarders were the side attraction to whatever else the party crew was into. And that was super frustrating. It was depressing. You know, that event was depressing. And it was so cool when they first started. The first year it was amazing. But it turned into, a circus attraction. Like, I don't know.
I think inversely, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, we went to Red Bull Heavy Metal in Boston last year, and we're going again this year. And there was 20,000 people in the city watching, you know, Zeb Powell and all these people just slide down a rail. And you could say that's a circus attraction, but to me, I thought it was powerful because there's a degree of relatability. I grew up in Massachusetts where it was like backyard snowboarding is what we did. I skateboarded, we set up a little tube. You don't even go to the hill. Like, and it's something that you can watch. Okay, they just went down that rail. I got a tube I can set up in my backyard. I can do it. I thought that was impactful for snowboarding in a positive way.
I think that's cool. I think that there is definitely something good to be said about like bringing snowboard to the cities, you know. There is a street aspect to snowboarding, undeniable. And I think there is definitely something good about it, and especially if it's relatable, if it's, like you said, something you got to do in your backyard, kids can try and do that. And bringing snowboarding to the cities, to the masses, is a good thing, for sure. I'm just as long as it's not like that type of attraction where people are watching, kind of hope somebody gets hurt, It's like that fucking, that's not cool, So I think it's depending on how it's done and what environment it's done in. I think there's different ways to do it. There's definitely cool ways to do it, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great take.
All right, Bombhole fam, I got some incredible news for you. We've teamed up with ShadyRays to bring you an exclusive offer.
Oh, yeah, Silk. And the right gear makes all the difference. That's where ShadyRays snow goggles come in. They've got the perfect goggles to get you on the mountain. Everything you need in one go without the hassle. I got a question, Silk.
Yep.
What if you want to customize your ShadyRays goggles?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. They got you covered there too. From lens swap options to strap options, you can build your own setup to ride exactly how you want to ride.
What if you don't like the fit of your goggles, or you kind of ding them up a little bit?
It's a very reasonable worry. A lot of stuff happens out there. They got you covered with broken protection, free 30-day returns, make it easy to swap them out or just send them back.
So gear up with premium goggles built for the mountain with the style and protection you need at a price that keeps it all within reach.
Yep.
So we've teamed up with ShadyRays to bring you an exclusive offer, Silk. What is that offer?
Yeah, you can head on over to ShadyRays.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE, and you're going to get a whopping 30% off any snow goggles or polarized sunglasses.
Be confident anywhere under the sun with ShadyRays, the eyewear that has your back.
All right, Shredders, listen up. With over 30 years in snowboarding, Vans continues to deliver top-shelf snowboard boots for not only their diverse roster of athletes, but everyday riders worldwide. There's literally something for everyone in the Vans range of snow gear. However, we're here to talk about the Infuse, Vans' most popular all-terrain, all-condition boot, featuring hybrid BOA and lacing systems that are built for maximum customization of fit and flex. Embraced and backed by new-gen riders like Ken and Cummins, the Infuse is designed for performance that stands up in any terrain. So hit up your local Vans dealer and check out the Infuse and the rest of the 25-26 Vans Snow lineup.
All right, Tommy, we're going to change gears on the show here. Silk, do you have any idea what this might be?
I got a good feeling we're doing Name That Video part.
So, Tommy, here at the Bombhole, we love snowboard videos, and we are video nerds, I think we could say. Knut briefed me that your knowledge, maybe scale of 1 to 10, as far as 10 being elite knowledge. Where are you at in video knowledge?
Across the whole board?
Yeah.
Low. A low 1.
A low 1? Okay.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
great.
Not that I
we get a lot of ones.
I lost track.
That's pretty common.
At some point.
All right, well, we play the song, and you got to guess what it is. Here we go. Godspeed. Good track. Do you have any idea what that might be? Knut came up with this one.
Hey, that's got to be one of ours.
No.
It sounds early 90s.
We can't
though.
say.
It's maybe even before that.
Before 90s.
It might even be before the 90s, potentially.
Allegedly.
It might have been a video that Knut said he watched a lot.
Oh yeah, it's probably Apocalypse.
That's exactly what it is. You got it.
With no help.
All right.
Was an easy one.
Yeah. So you got it right.
Bingo.
And you won the prize pack to your left there. You got a turtle box speaker in there, Herschel bag, I believe, a bunch of Yeti stuff. Loaded up Bombhole merch, so congratulations on it.
Thank you.
You got that magnetic speaker now. You're hyped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, actually, it's this one. This is the Ranger.
Oh, that one. Oh, that one.
This is my daily driver.
It's got
That
magnets
thing
on
is
it, right?
amazing.
Yeah.
That thing. I looked at it yesterday at the show.
It's also good if you need to club somebody. It's got some weight to it, so you can.
Yep. Same with the
protect
Yetis,
yourself
actually. Yeah. A couple weapons out here.
All right, part 2 of Name That Video parts for our listeners. If you know the song, comment on the photo of Tommy on Instagram. That's where we pick our winner. Here we go. for playing. Name that video part. All right, you have no idea what that is, Knut.
Dude, I have no idea.
That's not good.
Is that some new stuff?
It's not new, no, but it's legendary.
It's definitely not legendary. Okay, I'm just shut up now.
Yeah, you should just stop talking.
Better watch what you say.
All right, let's keep it moving here. So I want to get into a question that I feel like is maybe like picking your children. It's like when they ask who's your favorite kid, it's probably impossible. But over the 36 years of Nitro, what 3 riders do you think have had the biggest impact?
That's a good one. Depending on what, like there's riders that have impact on the product side that give a lot of good impact there. There's riders that are amazing that could ride a bathroom door, it doesn't matter. So as far as the brand recognition, the early days, I think it was Jeff Davis. Later on, Fabian Rohr is definitely in there around the 2000s. He just, won there in style and did all that. And then, of course, not to leave out Marcus, but Aero, for sure.
Yeah.
Marcus is huge, but in the scope of the history, he's the youngest kid. And he's still active, so exclude him for now.
Yeah. You guys have had a ton when you look back too. I think about that short stint with Mark Frank Montoya. You guys had Zeb Powell. Too bad Knut couldn't really keep that going. It was unfortunate. Lucas Huffman always comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
Sam Taxwood.
MFM.
MFM. Iris. I feel like you guys have had like a really
Nicola Toast.
Yep.
Back in the day.
How was Knut as a team rider? Did he move the needle at all for you guys, or is it kind of just didn't do much when he was on the team?
Pretty much stayed under the radar.
I was so bad, I just took a camera and started talking about the boards in front of the camera. I'll show you guys I can make an impact.
No, he was a good rider. He was a style master. I have a lot of stuff. Keep blackmailing him.
Oh yeah.
I have this vault of photos that I once in a while, if things get too crazy, I'll pull some out.
Yeah, send us
to
some.
Quiet him. I got something on him. It's not good. I mean, for him.
You work with someone long enough, you go to enough parties together.
Yeah.
They get some blackmail.
Yeah. That's good. You want a position of leverage as a boss.
Yeah. And I have that on a lot of people. Yeah. I have like resume photos of people in suits. I have weird shit.
Oh yeah. We have this one guy, I won't say his name, but there was a few years every sales meeting we'd start the marketing presentation with his resume photo of him just in the full suit and tie. Be like, welcome to Nitro Marketing. And everyone remember this.
The employee. The employee of the month photo.
All right, you mentioned Aero. We happen to have a guest question from none other than Aero Etzela. Here we go.
What's up, Bumhole? What's up, Tommy? It's Aero. I got a question for you, Mr. Delago. I know you're really passionate about rally driving and also snowboarding. So would you rather be drifting a rally car or slashing pow on a snowboard? And I also need to know, where's my fucking invitation for the Nitro OG crew? Hopefully you guys are having a blast in the booth. I can't wait to listen to this episode. Peace out.
That's a tough one. Thanks, Aero, by the way. And you're too young for the OG crew now. So that's a little way out. But that's a tough one. I've always had too many interests and too many hobbies for the time that I have. I love rally driving, and I just got my started, so I will be drifting. I've done a lot of riding this winter, so I'll be drifting, so I'll try to keep balancing. If I have to choose, it's the pow slash.
Nice.
That's for sure.
That's a correct answer, actually.
It's a little cheaper tires.
It's cheaper, too.
Cheaper tires. It's a cheaper slash.
Yeah.
What's the OG crew?
The OG, this is interesting. It's something that we actually had no part in when it first started out. This started 2 years ago with Fabian Rohr just calling up his old buddies, like basically all the old team from the late 90s that he rode with. Lukas Goller, Seth Neary, Max Plötzner, Tom Eberhardt, and Jonas Hagström, so those guys. He called us up and just invited them, hey, come to Switzerland, we just ride together. They always stayed in touch. We've stayed in touch with them, some of them here and there, depending on what we did. Like Jonas was always in touch because he's part of our band, and the others kind of dropped off the end of the earth. But Fabian got those guys together, and we had nothing to do with it in the beginning. And he just told us, hey, we're going to go riding. You want to send a photographer? And so, one of the guys went down to shoot what they did in Switzerland. It was their thing. And we saw the footage. I was like, this is pretty cool, So basically, they just got together after 25 years just to go ride together and have fun. And we saw this is pretty nice. And we're just in the middle of working on this guest shaper board with Drew. And I said, man, this is cool. Why don't we just ask these guys, after all this time, what their ideal board today would look like? And the guest shaper thing is about working with people that are not in the inner circle, but more like former riders or other people that have maybe a different angle on what we do in our little bubble. So I just, contacted them and said, hey guys, would you like to do something and actually design a board the way you would like to ride it today? And so that's what we did. So we have for this next winter's guest shaper board, is the OG board. And they shaped it. So we sat down together, and it got pretty nerdy at some point. So the shape, the technicality was pretty crazy, pretty intense. A little more complicated than I thought, like to make everybody happy. Like Rora is a midget, he's like this tall, and Neri's, big guy, like the sizes. So we had to make 3 sizes and, make him all, fit. And the outcome is pretty cool. So we have this board in the line just for 1 year. It's the OG team board. They put together a cool video, which is, for me, extremely emotional. It's pretty rad. It's a really short edit, but it just shows how the love for snowboarding just never ends, and that friendship that I think is part of the team riders, that's something that, we've cultivated all these years, that they're not just a team that just ride together and go on trips together, but they really become friends, that stays. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, like you said, Fabian just brought his old Nitro team buddies together to go ride, and then now we have like this Nitro OG team where it's former team riders from the past.
Of course, Aero wants to be part of that.
Of course, he wants to be part of it. He wants his contract to keep going.
He's still like the
he's not an OG.
He's too young. He's surrounding himself with like the youth in Finland.
Yeah,
it's like he's reinventing his riding every year. Yeah. He's still too good and too.
He's still pro.
He's still pro.
Yeah, he's still pro. Yeah. But it is cool. It's cool to see, riders from 20 years ago plus.
Yeah.
Still loving to go up and do butters and try front boards and do underflips. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And they're like 50 plus years old.
I think they're good. We rode together a bunch this month, and it was fun. It's just so much fun. I always enjoy riding with people where you see their joy in snowboarding.
It's infectious. 100%.
They're not trying to prove anything to anyone. It's just like they're just having a good old time. That's just so inspiring. It's fun. We had a blast last week. Was it last week?
Yeah, it was last week. It was last week in Austria. It's cool, and it's important. And snowboarding's in a spot where there are older riders who still ride, and we should not put Tommy, for example, a very old rider, still rides.
How old are you, Tom?
I'll be 62 in
Holy shit!
How many years have you snowboarded?
What's the key?
I don't know.
What's the key?
Yoga.
Yoga. No, my wife's a yoga teacher. She's really good at it, but I'm lazy.
Tommy's key, he always says, what do you say when we ride together?
The motion is the lotion.
The motion is lotion, but it's also, what's the Brazilian fighting style?
Oh.
Capoeira.
Yeah.
He's
yesterday, the parking lot out there was crazy, like sheet ice. And that's always my thing, like, when you walk on sheet ice and you're trying to slip and you're, 2 hours of capoeira practice every day saves your life.
Capoeira.
So... yeah,
that's the key.
Yoga? It seems like you also probably never stop snowboarding. You snowboard all the time.
Not all the time, but a lot.
It's been a constant in your life. How many days you get a year?
I don't count.
Be honest.
I don't count.
I love that you're not a day counter.
Yeah.
A lot of people use
this year.
I'm on day 76.
Yeah. No, I would say probably 40, 50.
Those are good numbers.
Yeah.
More than me.
But I don't really count it. It's not the quantity; it's the quality. Really, I think I'm like, okay, so many days.
Yeah, but to be 60,
maybe there's sometimes 20, and they're great days.
Yeah,
fine.
The problem is when people stop.
Yeah,
but then their body locks up.
You get stiff. You get scared. You get scared of the speed. You get scared of catching your edge.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. that becomes a worry. Like I can still keep up pretty good with most of the guys, and it'd be okay. I just want to think about. I do not want to think about what happens if I fall.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to falling, and you kind of slowly remove yourself from falling because you're not pushing. Like I said, my riding stopped progressing 35 years ago because I've always been riding stuff that doesn't work.
testing.
Oh, no, we make it. So you kind of, you develop the style of, like riding very efficiently. Like I'm not the most powerful person, so you ride low energy, but and you kind of don't fall anymore. And that's when you stop getting used to falling. That's where it can be sketchy if you do.
Yeah. When was the last time you did a hand plant? Because I've seen some hand plant photos of you.
We had this hand plant challenge thing for
Hand plant the planet.
Yeah.
Did you do one then?
I wasn't in. I was secretly practicing.
You were really? With Nitro we started this
I wanted to bring
hashtag.
the Andrek back. I was not that good. I don't think.
All right, Tommy, we're going to jump into hot takes.
Oh.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. First question we got. Who is your GOAT, your greatest of all time, your favorite snowboarder, both male and female? Or maybe not favorite snowboarder, your GOAT.
Got to be Jose Fernandez and Evelyn Witt. It just mostly inspired me when I first got into it as role models. Just great people, too.
Well, who's one of the most underrated snowboarders in your opinion?
I think also a name that's not that well known, obviously. Paul Gruber, the guy I talked to you about who got me into competitive snowboarding. He was one of the super early adopters of snowboarding. He was always a good guy. Started Red Air later on. He's still today organizing the legendary Longboard Classic, the Woodstock of snowboarding, since 26 years. He's done so much for snowboarding. He's just an amazing rider, amazing guy.
Solid. Steel or powder?
Powder. I'm too old for that shit.
Have you ever hit a rail in your whole life?
Good question.
Like not a log, not as like a part,
Piece
like
of steel.
A piece of steel.
Piece of steel, yes.
Yes.
At the park in Ogal was not going too well.
Just clips up.
Who's got your favorite style ever?
I think Mark Frick Montoya.
MFM.
Yeah, MFM's rad, and he blew me away. He's this hip hop person. And this one year we had at the summer camp we had this air guitar contest, and we had Andrew Crawford and Mark Frank. Andrew was on guitars. Mark Frank was on drums. Like he played like a heavy metal song, like him. That was pretty amazing. Like him out of his thing.
Element.
Andrew lit his hair on fire. If you remember that, it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah.
Who's your favorite up and coming rider?
Ritzy. Absolutely.
Giovanni Ritzy.
Giovanni.
Yep.
We rode together also last week, and it's the type of rider. So inspiring. I was smiling the whole time riding with him, because he just boasts like this sheer joy of snowboarding. It's just so cool to ride with him. Just like does stuff, and not always crazy technical, but it's just sheer fun. Just enjoying the whole run, top to bottom. I think Giovanni is probably the guy. Like, man, this is the future of snowboarding. Just people that just have fun doing it.
Hell yeah. You know who reminds me a lot of that is Rene Renecongas. I don't know if you know this. Knut actually passed on Rene back in the day.
We could have put Rene Renecongas on the team. I saw a video of him and I was like, pretty average. Far beyond average. Can't win them all, man.
No, this is definitely not the guy. This Rene guy, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, definitely not the guy.
All right, next question. Who's got your favorite method?
Palmer.
Ooh, Palmer.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to elaborate at all?
It was just like, that's the day when we were all trying to be better and good, and he was on the team, and he was one of the guys I looked up to. There was Palmer, there was Kidwell, and Sean always had the badass methods. Yeah, no discussion.
All right, who's got your favorite turn?
This guy.
You?
I don't have to say this. You know, I do though. I mean, it's yeah.
Thank you, Tommy.
You know what? He needed that.
I needed
He needed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, thank you.
I give him too much shit all the time. No, but he does turn.
Yes. Yep. Gets his whole body involved with that.
Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite snowboard video ever made?
Oh, we had that Apocalypse Snow. It was the most inspiring movie to me. Like from today's perspective, like totally whack. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I watched it. A little bit of a head scratch, right?
yeah, you got to watch all three of them.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make sense.
You gotta watch the trilogy to understand it.
You know, like this snowboarder guy being chased by those motor skiers, like people racing down the mountain on a catamaran, and this guy getting into this like huge blow up sphere. Just, I mean, it's crazy.
I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is
And it's all in French. It's all in French.
So to me, that was like, wow, this is fucking crazy. It blew me away. Like even today, when you look at it, like for the time and even for today's standards, like fuck, nobody would even do that.
No.
It's crazy, and it's like, yeah, it's
Definitely, you should put the link in the video.
100%. It'll be on the screen.
I'll include
amazing.
some
It's
footage.
truly
That sounds
amazing.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
You know, have you thought about this? You know, you guys do the Nitro videos. You have everybody go down to the top, but instead you put them all in those inflatable balls and just send them down.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the future.
Yeah. Every year I'm trying to think of how to do it next. And that actually took inspiration from that movie. I really want to do it with like just that chaos. It's a mono skier, some guy on fire, just some crazy shit coming at you. Like, this is Nitro. And people are like, what?
Yeah, you want the audience to be confused.
Yeah.
So will be.
Yes.
All right. Next question. Best place to ride a snowboard?
Has a lot to do with who you ride with, but I really enjoy riding with my family most. No offense, guys, but
same here.
And that would be the Dolomites. Like, my family comes from there, and there's such super nice areas. I mean, it's just beautiful. Just making turns, like every other turn you come around, just new views, new everything. It's just, yeah, it's probably out there.
Cool. What's your favorite board graphic ever?
Again, I'm excluding any other Nitro stuff. It really is the iconic Sims stripe graphic, because I spent a lot of time on it. And back in the day, they were all screen printing them one by one. So except for the gold one, which was always the same, the colored ones were all different. All of them were one of a kind, depending on how much color they were pouring in. They're all one of a kind graphics, which was pretty sick.
Hell yeah. Who's your favorite snowboarder?
My favorite snowboarder? That is a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't want to name one person, really. It's a group thing, man. It's not a solo thing.
The collective.
I'm dodging that question.
Yeah, that's a full dodge.
Louis Vito.
Yeah. All right. The collective snowboarding community as one. We're all one. If we get really philosophical, we're all one. So
we're all one strapped in.
All right. What's your least favorite trick?
Oh. And this is, this goes out to Peter Bauer, my good old friend. His favorite trick and my least favorite, the worst trick ever, ho-ho plant in hard boots.
Just shots fired at Peter Bauer.
Damn.
That's perfect.
Let me get to the, I gotta find the gunshot.
Hit him with the gun.
Take a second. There we go. Okay. All right, I love this question, especially for somebody that is a founder, owner of a snowboard company. If you were to buy a snowboard that isn't a Nitro or affiliated with Nitro in any way and you couldn't get a Nitro, what board would you buy today if you walked into a shop?
I would buy one of Taro's, a Gantam stick, for sure. And he's making good stuff. Like every single one is inspirational, both optically, technical, and also pushes your riding in directions that are, definitely.
Cool. Dream sponsor, anything in the world doesn't have to be snowboard related.
Michelin.
Tires.
Yeah,
Tires.
tires.
Rally tires. Burnout for days.
They're so expensive, and you burn through them for no reason.
Yep.
And Michelin would be amazing. It'd be so good.
And they make mountain bike tires. They make motocross tires. Hell, they make shoes.
They make it all. But he's just getting rally tires.
Yeah, okay.
He's a full addict.
Okay. All right, you go heliboarding 3 people anywhere in the world, just good times. Who's going in the bird with you?
Well, I think I would pass and put my family in there. I've done my share of heliboarding. It's fun. I don't need it. I'll take it whenever I can, but they have never done it, so I'll put those 4 guys in the heli.
Last question, worst trend. What do you got?
Ooh, in the history, baseless bindings with low backs.
That was my first binding setup. I was hyped.
I had my worst snowboarding day ever on that setup. This is like mid-90s when it all went down, and we were in this, there's this amazing place in France, like Rave-la-Meige. You've probably seen pictures, like these 4 gondolas connected going up this mountain, huge powder, wide open fields. And it had dumped like crazy, and blue sky, and we're up there with a local guiding because my partner Sepp lived around the corner from there. So the best day ever, and I was on a 151 jib board, no nose and tail.
Hell yeah.
That fucking centered mountain, baseless bindings, high back, no high back.
That's so gangster. You know what? I love it. I'm getting excited just hearing about that setup. I'm getting pumped.
Worst day ever, man. That's all I had with me. I don't know why, but
where's the picnic table at?
Dude, I saw Sexton yesterday. He's riding a 148. I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Teeny board.
Like, what is it, 2005 still? Not going above 1 mile an hour on that? You hit 15 mpHs on that, you're cooked.
So Tommy made the 203. Never again a small board on a power day.
I'm done.
Yeah, I think it's cool here in Salt Lake. There's a big nitro contingency where somebody on a powder day is going to be on one of those missile swallowtails that you got, those long dogs. And I never really got it. And then a lot of stuff here is like benched out, where you're and you come out into the flats and I would just see the 203 just gone. You're stopping, you're unstrapping,
you're walking.
They're
out.
making it to the next bench, like always. They're just torpedoes in the deep snow. Huh?
It's amazing.
That's what I should have had. We made that. We made those boards even then, and I don't know what I was thinking.
But you're on the 151 baseless. Respect.
Jeans on.
Center. You couldn't really move the bindings around much because everything was mounted. The inserts were there. That was it.
T-bolted in. You're stuck.
Nightmare.
God, my respect just went up big time hearing that. Cool. We like to get into setups. What board and binding setup you got behind you there? What are you riding? What's your daily driver?
Well, like I said, I'm riding a lot of stuff that doesn't work. This one does. It's one of my go-to. It's pretty much my daily driver. It's a banker. It's one of the quiver boards that I designed together with Brian. So I'm riding a banker 60. And I'm riding phantom bindings, which is like a softer setup. Not crazy, but that's pretty much my style. 20-inch stands, 18 minus 6. It kind of gets steady in your ways, I think, after a while.
Yeah, that's your favorite board. I know you've written the directional turn-in board is your board.
Yeah. But there's a couple of things that I personally think, for me, are important. One, it needs to always work in powder. Maybe that goes back to that.
Yeah, I think so.
So if there is a powder stash, you want to be on a board that works and works fine. So that does it because it has a little longer nose, needs to have a good side cut so I can drive it on the hard pack and that stuff. But for me, it's super important that any board, it always has to be fun on the last run. Like, you can have fun all day and then you kind of get tired. And if that, Europe, there's a lot of runs that are long and they're back down to the parking lot. And if that last run sucks, it kind of can ruin you, not to ruin your day, but like leave a bad memory. I don't like that. I want the last run to be fun, so it has to be mellow enough it doesn't stress me out.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's it's an important criteria for me personally.
I like it too. When a board's too stiff and it's too aggressive, I'm with you. It's like feels like you're riding just a missile.
Yeah. So. But that, I think that's everybody's personal taste, I guess. But for me, that's an important criteria.
All right, let's fire up our last Patreon question here.
Yeah, let's do it. This question is from Hugh Evans. If you could go back and give 30-year-old you a piece of advice, what would it be?
I always say, stay true to what you like to do in riding. Don't look too much at other people around you. I think role models are cool. Stars are cool, but, I think follow your own dreams. Don't try to emulate something that someone else does. I think that's, for me, the most important thing.
Yeah, that's good advice. Did you, when you were 30, were you trying to follow other people? Did you
No,
get
I
caught
don't
in
think
that
so.
trap?
Not to sound cocky, but I don't really, like I said, except for maybe the very early, people that I looked up to, it was always like, oh, that's cool. It was more like an inspiration, like, oh, this guy, woman, girl does this or that style. That's cool. I kind of can take something from this and that, but it's not like, oh, this is my hero. I want to be like that person, So yeah, I'm trying to do my own thing, but like take inspiration from multiple people. I think that's opens your mind more than trying to be like one. Trying to follow one hero. So yeah, I don't think I've been a fanboy.
It's cool. You guys have carved your own lane too in doing so. You're not imitating others.
You can be an inspiration for other people too. And
Yeah.
that kind of snowballing. I think that's cool.
100%. And I just want to say too, as like, we have our small business here, which is the Bomb Hole, and we have Silk and our crew, and we're trying to build something in snowboarding. And I think if you look back at 36 years, like you guys have had so many great team riders. You've invested in snowboarding and the culture for videos. You've, everyone from the sales team to everybody that's been a part of the brand over the years, you're able to, for people to do what they love and pay their bills and still be like a positive contribution to snowboarding. So like, and stayed privately owned and not gotten greedy with dollar signs in your eyes. So I just think it's a really badass contribution to snowboarding and all the people you've helped along the way, Tommy.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, like I said, it was never planned that way. There was never a plan, but I think as long as you stay true to your own thing and you have the luxury to do that, not everybody can do that. That's true,
Yep.
And you have, try to find the right people around you that share that same vision. You can do something cool.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What's next for Tommy Delago?
After this, going back home, relaxing, going riding.
It snowed at home. I saw.
It snowed at home. I got some prototypes coming. I'm really stoked on trying out.
Some 151s and power.
No,
Some baseless binding protos.
Some weird stuff.
Yeah.
So
151 chipboards coming to his house. He's like, I can't
got a
wait
148 and some baseless protos.
Working on that
testing.
baseless binding comeback. Push it hard.
Excited about that.
Yeah. So more riding, for sure. We got a family trip planned to the Dolomites, to Italy. That's going to be super fun. I'm looking forward to that. Some rally driving in the snow and ice, of course, too. And,
Hell yeah.
The mix of everything,
Hell yeah. Incredible.
What do you think just one question, like just kind of a personal question for me with the job and everything.
Yep, I like that.
What do you want Nitro to be in like 20 years? Because I know like in snowboarding now there's a lot of old, no offense, but the older, sorry. There's a lot of companies are matured. So there's this transition of, let's say, founders or power in a lot of the companies. The Mervins, it's moving, it's changing. There's a new generation kind of coming that is going to take over and continue moving this forward. What do you want in snowboarding? How do you want snowboarding to be in 20 years from now?
Well, I hope.
It's your dream.
I hope we can continue to be independent from, other influences. So like take the influences and use them to our advantage as snowboarding. For Nitro, it's the same thing. Staying independent, continue to do what we do, and do stuff that, that's maybe weird and different, and not having that pressure. I think it goes for snowboarding as much as it goes for the company. I think the independence and the authenticity, I think, is key. And for me, like, authenticity is probably the most important thing. Just it's just make sure we, look at and respect every aspect of snowboard, but it's people that rent their stuff, people that ride hard boots. Like, what the fuck, doesn't matter. You know, they're all riding. And I think that's, for me, that's, you know, the ideal scenario, that as a group, we do our own thing, you know, try to be a little independent from the influx of bullshit.
Perfect. I like it. Perfect. Yeah. Well, you guys are doing a great job. And it's been a great show. I had a great time. Ken, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Do I still have a job, Tommy? I didn't say anything too bad, did I?
Yeah, no, it's not that bad. No,
I had a great show. It was really good. Tommy killed it. It was nice to be here. This is nice.
Yeah,
Silk, did you have a good show?
Yeah, super awesome.
It's cool. You know, that kind of conversation makes you think about different aspects of some of the stuff. Like sometimes you just go, and you never look back, and sometimes you go, what are we doing? Like, you know, so thanks for some of those questions too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming and chatting us. It's been awesome. Sweet. Who's taking us out of the show, Silk?
I think we should have Tommy do it.
Tommy, you want to do our sign off? We basically, at the end of the show, we just kind of throw a bow on it as if you're a television broadcaster, you know?
All right, guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for watching the show. We got other things to do. We got power to ride. We got turns to do. I'm sorry. Over and out.
Yeah, there it is. Nice. I'm sorry. That's actually really great. I'm sorry.